Welcome back to the channel folks and to another battle report. Now this is a short format report because myself and Brian are playing this on a school night, so to speak, so we've only got about maybe three and a half hours to complete the game and the recording. So we're playing an Ardennes inspired game here with American infantry. This is the Battle Weary American Infantry up against Brigade Panzer IVs and Brigade Assault Panzer Grenadiers. We should have had another couple of battle reports for you this month, folks. We had our usual monthly meet-up and nightly gaming in Bathgate, but unfortunately the two games that I was playing, they were so one-sided that I wasn't going to share them. In the first game, for instance, what you're seeing me using tonight, that was up against aggressive Shermans, and effectively 6 aggressive Shermans destroyed my entire army, and I never killed a single one of them. That'll give you an idea of the sort of the nature of the dice rolling in that game, shall we say. And then in the second game, they were up against careful, like veteran Shermans, and they absolutely wiped them off the table without taking hardly any hits, so the Shermans couldn't hit them. So they weren't entertaining games, folks. So I'm going to give another run out tonight and hopefully get you a bit more of an entertaining game. Now, before we get over to the game itself, keep your eyes peeled to the channel, folks, for an announcement of a great event that we've got planned up here, the Scottish Flames of War community. You might be interested in joining in. We'll be checking out Brian's list at deployment just to save us a little bit of time on the night. So what you've got here is my list, and you look at it and you go, holy smoke, that's absolutely gigantic. Well, it is big, but there's a hell of a lot of soft stuff in it. This is all brigade, tanks, brigade infantry and so on. So it's all aggressive and it's all reluctant, which means it's going to take a lot of hits and it might be difficult to get those remounts, those rallies and last stands. So there's a lot of it, but some of it's quite brittle. But we've got two formations. This is all one formation. This is a brigade, let me think, Brigade Assault Grenadier, or Armoured Grenadier, sorry. So these guys are assault rifles. The reason I've chosen this, I would normally choose the Panzer Grenadiers, but the reason I chose this is because the assault rifle guys have a mortar section and the Panzer Grenadier types don't. And I don't want any support artillery in this list. That's how I'm trying it, because I wanted to have a full formation and another full formation. So going back to these, we've got 2 platoons in half tracks for the HQ, then 6 of the triple flaks, 4 Stummels, 2 mortars, and then 2 platoons of 3 Panzer 470s, and they're in the formation. That is one whole formation. So it's not going to be easy to break it. It'll be easy to kill individual platoons, but you're not going to break it easy. And what I normally find, by the way, is these tend to determine where the opposition places their tanks, because they're very scared of them. Anti-tank 14, 40-inch range. So they don't necessarily get a lot of chance to do shooting at tanks because they're hiding from them. But they can, in that way, do good cover for the attack and area denial. And also just shooting into the defender's deployment zone, because a 40-inch range is pretty damn good. And then backing them up, we have this Panzer IV Brigade formation. HQ, 2 platoons of 4 and 4 Wehrbohns. So that is, it's a lot of tanks for a little points, but they're very, very easily hit. You've got to think of these things as, imagine thinking of them as Soviet T-34s, aggressive T-34s. Would you feel confident running around the table with them? I don't think so. So they're going to take a lot of hits, and this formation could quite easily get broken. So I played this before. I played it recently, as I said, and things didn't go well, and things went brilliant. So I'm not sure how they're going to do in this game against infantry. It'll be a good test. We decided we were going to play no retreat for today's mission. It's a very solid defensive mission which will be good for Brian to try out a new list, and also a very good challenge for any attacking list, because you're going to be coming up against a very compact and solid defensive line where the defender isn't going to have to pick themselves up and move anywhere. They're going to have minefields as well. And we also set the terrain up so there will be some good defensive areas on the terrain too. So it's a good test of both your attacking and defensive in a headlong clash, so to speak. Not so much on manoeuvre, a bit more on deployment and firepower. You can see from the diagram the deployment zones are really simple. The defender's got half the table, the attacker has got just a little bit to go before they can get stuck in, but it's pretty much, as I said, a headlong clash. Special rules are ambush for the defender, they've also got minefields, and then they have got deep immediate reserves, so that would affect the number of tank units you could have on the table at the start. It's not going to be a big issue in this game though. So how do I see this game going? Well, I don't want to call it, folks. There have been too many unpredictable games for me in recent weeks. What I would say though is that it's going to be critical for Brian to get his reserves on as early as he can, but importantly to get them into the right place so that he can counter-attack, because I can see the Germans being able to get up to the objective, but if they can't take the objective, it's going to be tough for the infantry alone to push me back away from the objective. So this could come down to reserves, where and when. Right folks, so we've deployed. You can see the deployment zones laid out. Brian, you decided to defend the town.
Yep.
Lots of buildings for you to use as cover. So you put the first objective down, and what did you do?
So I've put it down here in the back inside the building here, because obviously it's going to stop your tanks assaulting anyone that's sitting on that, hopefully, and just a bit further back for you to come into.
And I put one in the opposite corner as far away as I could, just to stretch him out a bit. So Brian, what have you got on your list? What's in ambush, reserves and such likes?
Yeah, so it's from the American Builds book, and I've gone for a Battle Weary Rifle Company. So I've tried to go for the 60-40 splits. I've got 60 on the table, and that's a HQ, rifle HQ, which is over the side of the table, and two smaller units of the Battle Weary Infantry. But I've got an extra bazooka in it and an extra machine gun in this one as well. So they're holding these two central points, one on the objective, one in the middle of the table that can dash where he's needed to. Also in that formation there's a heavy machine guns in this build here. There is some 3 anti-tank guns in ambush. I've got 4 mortars, and for 13 points I've got 6 105s, a slightly smaller 105s. But 6 guns there to put down a big template as you come up towards me.
And these are part of the formation as well.
Part of the formation as well.
So they're not a support box.
And then the support black box is a Battle Weary armoured rifle. So that's got the 5 bazookas, everyone in it, plus the half tracks just sitting off to the side there, ready to give some extra fire support if required. So that's 60 points on the table. And then off the table I've got a unit of 4 Shermans. One's been upgraded to a jumbo and 2's been upgraded to 76 mils. And then I've got a unit of 4 Chaffies. So 2 units to come on just to reduce the number of rolls I need, and a good 60-40 split.
Right folks, it's worth having a look at these, because I had to get Brian to double check it. I couldn't believe 13 points, but it's true. They don't have time on target like the normal artillery does. They're only trained, they're not veteran, but they're careful. But to be honest guys, 13 points for anti-tanks, 3 firepower, 3 in bombardment with reroll and misses, not bad at all. So I've lined up, as you can see here, Panzer Grenadiers, Assault Panzer Grenadiers, plus a HQ, another platoon there, Stummels, anti-aircraft half-tracks, their mortars, and then you can see a flanking platoon of the Panzer 470s and one moving up in the middle, and then the Panzer 4s, they're moving up behind this lot. You've got the Wirbelwinds, 1 platoon, 2 platoons and the HQ. Nothing subtle here folks, it's going to be move off towards the nearest objective. Why, pre-ranged in markers.
Yeah.
You've put a couple out here
I just tried to measure how far you could potentially move, and if you do move into this area, or this area, I'm going to have those covered.
And I've stuck one down there, but I don't imagine my mortars will be up too much, because they'll be, if they hit anything, they're re-rolling it. But I've just stuck it down on top of the objective, and then they might have a role to play later on with some smoke, you never know.
I was just going to say also about the minefields as well.
Oh, of course, aye, sorry. It's been a while since we've actually had a game with minefields in it. One to block that off, one to narrow that approach, and then you've got
a couple around the town, so one to really stop anything coming up this side of the town, and one to stop anything sneaking around the back as well.
So they've got to assault their way through that house or move around the long way, and you've got this infantry platoon in the middle, and they can go left or right as required.
Yep.
Turn 1. German turn 1, turn summary. So first of all, these guys all dashed. Some got into the wood from the first platoon. 2 did, 2 didn't. HQ did. Rest moving behind. I'm just going to try and use this cover here to push on through. Tactical, stayed put. These guys are going to wait, see how things develop. First of all, because it's hard to push everything through there anyway, folks. So in terms of shooting, those guys did nothing, obviously. They put bucket loads of dice into here, as did they, but they needed 6s and 7s. A couple of hits, but saves made. They had one chance to kill on a 7, but failed the firepower. Stummels went for the heavy machine guns, again needing 6s, didn't get any hits. So the only casualty was one base to the 2 mortars. Remember, they're re-rolling hits because there's only 2, but they managed to get one. It's a pin on them, but it is at least first blood. But we'll see what happens when my aggressive guys start taking some hits.
Yeah, so American turn 1, I had to unpin my infantry, which I managed to successfully do. The second thing I had to do was pop an ambush. I decided to pop it early, right in the middle of the table, but too big a juicy target in front of me here. And the third thing I had to do in the starting step was roll for reserves. I never got any reserves on. So that was my starting step. I then moved to shooting. So actually with the guns in the ambush, I managed to take out a number of half tracks and killed 4 of your 7 bases.
You got 4 hits, passed all your firepowers, and then I've managed to roll, 4 out of 7 dice as a 1 or a 2.
So a successful ambush, but what I was also hoping to do with the ambush as well is move my artillery onto these units, which are probably going to take them out next turn. I failed to range in with the 6 guns, so lots of guns but still only 3 dice to range in, never made it. Managed to range in with my mortars but never managed to do the damage on your half tracks here as well, so everything's still surviving from that side of the table. Also had some shots with the heavy machine guns across as well but never done any damage. So first blood to the Americans, but I'm just a bit worried now. I'm exposed here and still underneath a template.
Yeah, I don't think you got that. By killing all those guys, there's only 1 platoon of reluctant infantry there now, so I think you can hold on for your reserves.
Yeah, try and get my tanks on.
Turn 2. German turn 2. So first of all, in terms of motivations, they didn't unpin. I better put a marker of some kind on them, folks. With a reroll, but they didn't unpin. In terms of movement, they shimmied round to here. That's the Panzer IV 70s. The Panzer IVs have moved up a bit, and everything else has stayed put to shoot. Oh, I've not done the mortars. We'll come back to the mortars, folks. Everything, them, 2 of them, and all them, managed to kill 2 of the anti-tank guns, which isn't great, but I just got to hope he runs away. So there was countless, too many hits to count, folks, but they've got a 3-up save. And then these guys here and here have only got a 5-up firepower, so that's why there's so many of them left. If they were getting hit more by Stummels or things, they wouldn't be there. But there's no guarantee just because you roll a lot of dice that you're going to pass your 5-up firepowers, folks. So I'm just going to quickly do the mortars. The mortars got a couple of hits, but they failed the save with the rerolls. So I'm staying put until that's dead, and then I can start moving forward. But my plan's already up the Swanee, folks. Brigade Brian's lost an anti-tank gun, but I've lost a platoon infantry because I couldn't roll above a 2. One platoon isn't going to do it. My tanks will have to come in and try and do the job, but I don't trust them to do a job against all those bazookas and infantry and tanks coming up to help them.
So for the American turn 2, for my starting step, I had 2 checks to get unpinned. So this unit unpinned and the unit across there unpinned, and then I had a last stand, and as you can see, he made his last stand, so fighting another day. There was no reserves. I didn't get any reserves this turn, so I then moved on to movement, and I basically moved up my half tracks to machine gun the infantry that had been forced out of the German half tracks here. So that was my movement. Then I decided to turn my artillery across here again. So I was already ranged in with my mortars, but I managed to range in my big guns right across here and started doing some damage. So in terms of the damage caused by the guns, I've managed to kill 2 and
Killed that one and that one.
and then bailed one.
Bailed that one and killed that one. Now, remember folks, I have to be rolling below 4s for him to have any chance to do anything to me. They never made a single save, all 5.
And the mortars aren't doing anything against the half track. See, I'm hitting you, but you're making the saves. And
Well, the best you can get there is a bail.
bail. So then I opened up with the machine guns and did manage to bail one with a machine gun. So did a bit of damage, but then the one guy took out the last of the anti-tank guns. So I've killed 3.
I tried mistaking target onto the bailed one, but of course I rolled a 2.
And then with my machine guns, I managed to kill 2 of your infantry bases. So there's 1 pure infantry base left across there. So
They failed all their saves. He actually managed to pass them, but he'll be going bye-bye.
So I'm managing to make a bit of a dent at the moment before your tanks come in and start hitting me hard.
Turn 3. German turn 3, in terms of motivation, infantry didn't unpin, failed the last stand, didn't remount, failed the last stand, and remounted. No movement, there's no point, folks, until I killed the gun, so I just fired everything at the gun until I killed it. And then the infantry took a couple of hits in bombardment, quite a lot of saves made with rerolls, but one failed and a successful firepower. If I passed another firepower, there'd be another one gone, but one of the Zooks is... Oh wait, actually, it's that Zook there that's away. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it.
Should be 4 left. I said 4 left.
2, 3, 4. That's it. And that's me, folks. Very short turn, but now at least the tanks that start to come on, my tanks can shoot them back and I can start moving towards that objective. But I've got to make my 3 up saves when that lot there. Oh, as well, don't forget, Brian, they reroll misses. You hit everything anyway. But remember, they reroll misses. Right, so over to Brian for his turn 3.
So for American turn 3, I had, for my starting step, I had 1 motivation to make, and I managed to unpin the infantry that was underneath the bombardment. I then rolled for reserves and managed to get my tanks on. Now, because you've got some really big guns, you can do me nasty damage. They're just behind the wood at the moment until I work out what I can best do with those. But I've got a tank platoon on. And then everything else stayed still and just open up fire. So across at the side here, I managed to get 150 cal into the outside edge of that. I managed to bail the half track coming in. And then it was turning the artillery across here. So the mortars were already ranged in. And I've also managed to range in my 6 105s. And between all the artillery bombardment, I managed to bail out 2 tanks. I do have to keep remembering, because I've got 6 guns, I can re-roll failed misses. So lots of firepower coming in, but just not getting that killing shot. But 2 bailed at the moment.
Turn 4. German turn 4. In terms of motivations, didn't get back in with a reroll, didn't get back in, got back in. In terms of movement, well, moving away from this artillery bombardment, folks, they stayed put. You can see the Panzer IVs working their way over, moving up to that tree line, and then moving up, because my shooting was on the artillery. So they fired, and the Panzer IVs fired, and had 3 hits, needing 5 up saves, and they all made it. I'm getting nothing, folks. I've got to whittle them down to stay alive to then move up to here. I could have maybe killed 1 or 2 and got them down so they're not getting rerolls, but not happening. They clobbered them, and let me think now. I think it was a pin, and one of them got killed. One failed to save and I passed the firepower. But that's it, folks. I'm just manoeuvring now to try and push forward, but I'm not really getting any leverage against these Yanks yet.
So for American turn 4, I had 2 unpins to do for my starting step. I managed to unpin the guys in the middle here, but didn't manage to unpin the heavy machine gun. So because there's one dead and the unpinned, they've decided to go to ground. I managed to get my last set of tanks on for my reserves automatically. So they've done a 20-inch dash up here. The plan is to get them into cover here to try and come in from the sides. You're going to have to manoeuvre if you do want to shoot at me. That's me got everything on the table now. And then it was really shooting across the side here to try and get hold of the half-track. Hit you, but you made your save.
150 cal firing.
And then the mortars, I've changed to move into the back of the half-tracks here, but ranged in, but I've not managed to do any damage. And I wasn't able to roll in again, range in again with my 6 big guns, because I was aiming for this nice big juicy target here.
Turn 5. German turn 5, so in terms of motivations, remounted, didn't remount. In terms of movement, these guys moved over, the HQ moved over, everything else stayed put. Whereas 2 moles are just watching the flank. They'll die as soon as the Jaffies appear. In terms of shooting then, these guys either made the save or I failed my firepower again, folks. Here, these guys absolutely smashed to bits. Several chances to kill. On 5-ups, I have to admit, but no, it's kind of roll 5-up. And they survived the mortar. Took a hit, but survived the mortars again. These killed 2 half-tracks, though, folks. It's 2 dead half-tracks, so that's progress. And remember, turn 6, next turn is the turn Brian can win the game if I'm not within 8 inches of that objective there, because I'm not getting within 8 inches of that one.
So for American turn 5, my starting step I had 2 unpins to do again. So I managed to unpin the guys here, which is really good. Heavy machine gun still pinned down. Then onto movement. So basically I moved the half-tracks out of the way because I need to try and get my tanks. I've managed to move the tanks up to have shots at the Panzer IVs. Only managed to move to get 2 into fire. The other 2 had to sort of dash to keep up. So there's only 2 shots coming at you, or 2 tanks firing at you. I also moved the Chaffies round because their idea is to come round here and try and take on this unit here. But they've got to take a while to get there, even with a fast pace. And then it was back to shooting. So I had 4 shots. Didn't manage to do any damage because I had the stabilisers. And the Panzer IVs are still standing there. I managed to range in my big artillery onto your Panzer IVs, killed 1 and bailed 1. So these guns are doing their work this time round. Nothing with the mortars or with the heavy machine guns onto here, apart from a bail on the end.
That was from the bazookas.
That's from bazooka. Oh yeah, because I'd moved up 2 bazookas, and even with the penalty, because I'm moving rate of fire 1 weapon, managed to bail out one of these guys as well. So I'm still hanging on there, and I need to push them further back.
Turn 6. German turn 6. So in terms of motivation, nothing passed. So you still build out. In terms of movement, these guys moved up, so they're within 8. These did across here. 1 failed. That's the HQ, so he passed. So they're within 8. And HQ moved over to join these guys. And that platoon budged forward a little bit to get out of the template. That was it for movement. In terms of shooting, oh guys, I just can't kill anything. Even here, they're bailed out. They took 8 hits between them from there. They're just 2 bailed. I actually managed to kill 1. Had 2 firepowers to kill. They took lots more hits, but Brian made his save. Only killed 1. If I got 2, then they'd have been much less deadly. Well, I'd like to hope. And then, I think that was about it really, folks. Why the mortars hit. Did they hit?
Yeah.
1 hit, I think it was, but the save was made with a reroll. And that's it. But I'm within 8, so Brian's now got to come and deal with me, but he's got a flanking attack over there. Oh, sorry. 1 lucky hit. Brian rolled a 2 for his mistaken target. That's the one thing he's not done in this game, is made his mistaken targets. The Zooks always fail, and it failed to go in the jumbo. and then he rolled a 1 for his save on a 76. So there is at least a dead 76 over there. So Brian's now got to, well, doesn't have to happen this turn, but he can come and get me now to try and push me away from this objective.
So for the American turn, I had 3 unpins or 3 checks to do in my starting step. So I did manage to unpin the guys in the middle. I didn't manage to unpin these guys, the heavy machine guns, and I only managed to get 1 half-track back in on the hill. So not very good starting step. My movement, I had to move 1 tank up to, because it was to get a shot in eventually into your Tigers, so your Panzers, and I moved the Chaffies up to start having a go at these guys here, and also to try and pop your guns here. So it was then down to shooting. So I managed to kill one of your guns here, and with the bazookas killed the other half track here. And then with these 3 tanks, shot up the road, and I managed to just only bail 1 and kill 1 of the...
That was from the artillery, I think.
Killed 1 there. I then decided to take the artillery and move the artillery, and I managed to range in and got one of the tanks, sort of half tracks into there as well. So try to whittle that down, and I've managed to bail one of the half tracks in the side there as well.
You've lifted his gun on the ground to fire his zooks.
3 bazookas and I managed to hit once, so maybe not a good idea, because I'm now going to get targeted quite quick to come back, but I'm going to just try and kill what I can.
Turn 7. German turn 7, folks. So in terms of motivations, I didn't go particularly well. He didn't get back in. He stayed though. And I think that was it. So in terms of movement, stayed put to shoot, stayed put. One of the HQs moved within 8 of that. One of this platoon has moved within 8 of that. He failed his cross check. Half tracks moved to the side, flak half tracks to there, and then they dismounted. And then in terms of shooting, they got nothing up there, only 1 hit. He missed, but he passed a 5 up. He's trained actually, it'd just be a 4 up. Shooting scoot. These guys got 2 hits on the Chaffies and 2 1s for firepower, folks. They got another hit down there, and of course they made their saves, folks. Just cannot do anything to them. I've never seen an artillery unit take so many hits, and I've just 1 base gone. It's just cracking me up. Over here, they managed to make it in from the assault with the help of a smoke screen. There was still a hell of a lot of defensive fire. It was about 11 dice all in, some from bazookas though. Only 1 hit, didn't take a casualty, and then got in and killed 3 bases. They broke off because they're reluctant. And then I've pulled back a little bit behind the smoke screen to try and get some protection. So I'm up there now. I don't know if I can keep pushing on. Brian's got to just keep killing things, get them back in, kill stuff here, and I'll lose any momentum I've got going forward.
So at the end of my turn, I've managed to unpin my 2 units. These guys are finally unpinned, and so did the unit in the middle there. So they've dug in. They've now dug in that infantry unit, because there was a lot of stuff coming my way. The only other movement I've done is I moved the Chaffies round. 1 didn't get back in, 1 did. So the Chaffies have just moved up the road to try and take some shots at your tanks sitting here. So it was just a case of opening fire and seeing what I could do some damage with. So moving 2 half tracks forward, I managed to kill 1 of your bases of infantry coming through. I was hoping to get some more than that, but there we go. And then using the Chaffies, I've managed to take out a tank on the side here as well. Using my tanks across the far end of the table, I've only managed to bail 1.
You got 3 hits, but actually made saves.
Yeah, I managed to bail out 1 of your Panzers 4s at the moment. So it's still all going here, and I managed to take 2 bazookas moved up to try and take shots at your shots here, but failed to hit you.
Artillery.
My artillery range, well, yep. So I've ranged in my artillery,
The mortars.
and managed to kill 1 base. Failed to range in my big guns. I think every second turn they failed to range in. So,
but these are 5 up rally, so there's not much chance of them rallying.
So we'll see what happens this time if you run or stay.
Turn 8. German turn 8's gone swimmingly as always, folks. So failed the last stand, even though that one got back in for the platoon. And then of course, as soon as somebody remounts on the last stand situation, they leg it. These guys didn't unpin, the HQ didn't get back in. The Stummel legged it, which meant the bailed one is also destroyed. So these dug in. There's no point in them doing anything to these tanks. It's not going to change the outcome. So they moved over to be in a position to deal with Chaffees. They stayed put. They moved over to join them. They moved up to help, and they stayed put as well. And then in terms of shooting, well, they pretty much dealt with the Chaffees themselves. 3 dead Chaffees between them and them. Didn't leave these much to shoot at. One base of infantry died to MG fire from half tracks. They tried to shoot here. Once again, they failed firepower to kill one, folks. Just absolutely impossible. But that's it. I'm still very much here on the objective. See if Brian can do anything next turn to push me off. Otherwise, it might be a draw. Right, folks, with turn 8, it's a school night. We're not going to be playing this all night. I am getting a beating, I'm getting worn down. The Panzer IVs are got 2 units left. They could be close to a break, but there's nothing ready to break them. The only thing that maybe would have won the game is these moving up and pushing them off, but there's just too much defensive fire potential around here. So we decided we're just going to call it a draw. So, Brian, you've not used this US list before. This is a good solid defensive mission where you didn't have to get up and move anywhere. How do you think it went?
Yeah, I like the list. I think it's really good. I made some silly mistakes with some of the deployment. I think the units deployed well enough, I think. These were the wrong deployment.
You couldn't have got on that road.
I couldn't have that road. If I just stuck it to the side, it'd stop you coming in 2 inches within friendly unit. It would have still blocked the road and I could have come round there if needed. So that was an issue. And maybe pushing that further back, so you went within 8.
Yeah, because
the minefield.
I could get within 8 from 2 different places.
And I was thinking, put the minefields either side of the wood, then suddenly forgot, well, actually, you just walk your infantry through the wood.
Yeah.
So it didn't really, but it did stop some of the tanks. But I think I'm going to persevere and try this list again. I think it worked well. There's lots of infantry on the table, and I'm not going to fall into a false sense of security with my guns because they were just outlandishly good this turn. And saying that, I think they failed to roll in every second turn, but when they did roll in,
Killed everything.
they killed everything that they hit.
And it wasn't so much the re-rolls, to be honest, folks. It is good, and it will hurt infantry, especially if 3-up firepower. But for me, it was just torture. This game was torture. I just spent most of the game not rolling above a 3. That's why I was losing like 3 verbal wins in one turn. Fair enough, you're maybe going to lose 1 or 2. But smashed to bits by the artillery, and then like similar games I've had recently, I just not been able to kill anything. It's getting quite annoying. These guys here made almost all the saves, and the saves that they failed, and they did fail quite a few, I'll be honest, maybe failed about 4 or 5 saves. I only passed 1 firepower, and that was like 3 ups, so that was torture, and it really hurt me, as you can see. As it was, if I had, and right at the start, I rolled, 7 saves needing a 3-up and failed 4 of them.
That's what killed, I think, the game.
If I had 2 platoons able to push on through here, even maybe 1 or 2 of the half-tracks left alive, might have been different. So I just couldn't get any momentum. If I had got some momentum, it maybe would have gone different.
The annoying thing was I had this unit in the middle here to try and move where it was needed, and it was needed over here. With all that machine gun firing, I couldn't get anywhere near you.
It's very hard to move infantry around. It might, even if you'd put them in the half tracks, they were ridiculous. They never failed a save, and they must have been hit about 16 times by them, and they didn't fail a single save. The best I could get was a bale, though we screwed up the remount on them. They've actually got a 6-up remount, so they probably should be gone. But once again, it's just my luck in some of my recent games hasn't been very good. But at least it was a proper fight.
Yeah, and I think for me, my list, because it's got a good 60-40 split, I know what's on the table. I don't have to sort of jiggle about every time. I've got infantry dug in with some guns and ambush and all that good stuff. and I know I've got 2 tank platoons to come on when required.
And that's the thing you're going to tweak to see what your tank platoon options are.
Just see what that 40 points can get me, different permutations for that. Maybe bring in a plane and drop this to maybe some Stuarts or something that can maybe go and still do some quick moves and get behind stuff.
Well, there you go, folks. That was the 3rd attempt at getting a battle report. We didn't think it was actually going to make a report because, as you see, I was just dying everywhere and killing nothing. But at least I managed to get myself onto the objective and hold on for the draw. But there you go. Hopefully it was an entertaining game for you to watch. But as always, just want to say thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing and for dropping into the channel from time to time if that's your preference. If you'd like to help out, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button, and that means we'll definitely see you all on the next one. Cheers, Brian.
Thank you.